All right, so what we've got to do in this one is we're going to use a linear model to solve a problem, particular problem. So obviously you're going to have to draw the linear model, so the graph. This is very common. What we've got is a builder finds that the time taken to build a house decreases in a linear pattern. In other words, it's linear as the number of assistants increases. Okay. A builder can build a house in 80 days without any assistance. So by himself, he can build a house in 80 days. Unless you build it backwards because you're in Canamble. With 5 assistants, the building time is reduced to 20 days. So one person, 80 days. $80 days, one person. Then you've got 5 people, 20 days. The question is, how many assistants would be required to complete the building in 12 days? Now, a lot of the time when you're a builder, you've got your normal crew, there's 5 or 6 of you or whatever, and you know how long it takes you to build a building. And then they say, oh, but we want this one done in 10 days or 12 days or 2 weeks or whatever. And so you have to think, okay, how many extra people do I need to hire? So this is actually a question that comes about for building type people. So what we've got to do is write the important information. Can anyone tell me what the first bit of important information is? Wakey, wakey. First bit of important information. $80 days, yeah. Okay, so assistants equals 1. Days equals 80. Is that fair? Now, actually, it shouldn't be 1, should it? Because it's actually asking for the amount of assistants, because the builder is just a given. So what should it be? It should be 0, because he's got no assistants. He's always there, and we're counting how many assistants he's got. So when the assistants are 0, the days are 80. What was the other bit of information? What was it? 5 and 20. Excellent. Now, that's the third one. That's the one where we want to find how many assistants he needs for 12 days. Is that cool? So the information we've got is when he's got no assistants, it's 80 days. When he's got 5 assistants, it's 20 days. So what we need to do now is plot it. Okay? So where's my first point going to be? Yeah, excellent. And to be honest, I like the fact that you're actually saying it as 0, 80, because that's the ordered pair that we're using. And that tells you how to graph it, 0, 80. So we go to 0, go up to 80. There we go. Nice big dot. It's way too big. I got a bit overexcited with the dot. You don't want your dots to be too big because it actually makes your line inaccurate. Okay, the next one, what do we got? 520. So we go up, across to 5, and then up to 20. So there we go. Then what do we do? Draw a line. Go. There's my line. Now, if you look at that graph, you can see that it sort of says that if he had about, I don't know, 6.5 people, he could finish a house in 0 days. Okay, that's not possible. So you see how I've got the arrow there? It doesn't really work like that. So normally we do one with an arrow to say that this line goes on forever. Can you see that this one wouldn't? So we don't want the arrowhead on there. Does that make sense? It's like having negative areas. It doesn't work like that. So get rid of that one. So I'm just going to stop at about there because it won't go right down. Okay. Levi. What we want to do now is we could read this off the graph, right? We could have a look at it and go, okay, when we wanted to get to 12 days, it's about there, so it's about there, so it's about there, okay? It's not actually the most accurate way to do it. You've drawn the graph, and that's great. What we want to do now is work out what the gradient is, okay? Because using the gradient, we'll be able to substitute in and get the answer, the exact answer that we want, okay? So how do we work out the gradient? What is gradient? Thank you. Rise over run. Okay. Going from that red point to that red point, what's the rise? Sorry, mate? Well, it's gone from 80 down to 20, minus 60. Excellent. We can have a negative gradient. Negative gradient means you're going downhill. Okay? You always go left to right, so you can see that this one's going downhill. Now, what's the run between that red dot and that red dot? How many people have we gone across? 5. We've gone from 0 to 5, the red dot. Red dot, yeah, because they're our 2 points. The other way of checking is how far have we gone? What's the difference between those two? It's 5. Okay. So that would give us a gradient of what? Yes. But you've just got to remember, you can find that the difference between them is 60, but you've got to recognize that that's a negative gradient. So it's negative 60. Make sense? So yeah, it's just the difference between them, but it's a negative distance. Negative gradient, sorry. Cool? Downhill, negative. Now, negative 60 over 50, over 5, round that down, simplify the fraction, you end up with minus 12. Everyone happy with that? That is our gradient. Now, this is a line. So it's going to be in the format of y equals mx plus b. Well, we know what m is. What's m? Minus 12. Oops. Okay. I don't have much luck with the board this morning. Okay, so we've got the minus 12 instead of our m. What's going to be instead of y? What's our independent, our dependent variable in this case? Have a look at the graph. D, well done. D is the dependent one. The number of days depends on. So we've got D equals minus 12 instead of x. What's our independent variable? A. Yeah, it is A, just into, yeah. So we've got D equals minus 12A plus, and instead of B, what's our y-intercept? Where does our line cross the y-axis? The vertical axis. Yes. 80, right there. Okay? So you've now got your equation. That's the equation of this line. We can now substitute any number into A and find out what we'd get with the amount of assistance. We could also substitute any number into D and work out for how many days we have to build it, how many assistants we need. So now we've got a formula. What we want to do now is sub in what we know. What do we know? Well, we've worked that out, but the question, what's the question asking us? So we know D equals 12. So we've written down the formula, we've written down what we know. What's next? 12 equals minus 12. Oh, that's hideous. I'm having a bad morning. Minus 12a. I had to take the dog to the vet. Plus 80. Tell me about it. I didn't take it yesterday, so I could save some money. She's got a bloody open sore on her arm, on her elbow, on her front leg. Poor girl, swollen paw. Okay, so here we go. We've substituted in. Now what do? Solve it. What do we got to do first? We've got 12 equals minus 12a plus 80. So we're ending up with a equals. So what do we got to do first? Take away 80. Even though you're asleep, you got it right. Well done. Okay. Okay, so you end up with minus 68 equals minus 12a. Now, the good thing about that, and what you actually want, you did want negative numbers there. Because when you divide a negative by a negative, you're going to end up with a positive answer. So, what do we do next? What's the next step? Close. Divided by minus 12. Okay, so you got minus 68 divided by minus 12. So someone with a calculator will solve that for me, I'm sure. Well, it's just over 5. It's actually 5.3 repeater. Is it 2/3? No, it can't be 2/3. Oh, it is 2/3 because it's 8. Damn it. Hate being wrong. Yeah, it's 5 and 8 over 12. So 5 and 2/3. 8 over 12? 17 over 3. Oh, you've simplified it by dividing it all by 4. Okay. How many 4s go into 68? 17. 12 goes into 68 5 times with 8 over 12. So it's actually, yeah. So, to get it done in 12 days, you need 5 2/3 of a person. Now, this is where common sense comes in. Levi, this is where common sense comes in. To get it done in 12 days, you need 5 2/3 of a person. Okay? Obviously, you can't have 2/3 of a person unless you've hired Levi. So, how many people do you need to make sure you got it done in 12 days? Okay, so your answer is 6 assistants. That makes sense? You round up.